All right, now that you've taken the COBIT Foundation exam and you've passed and have your COBIT Foundation certificate, it's time to start looking at the Design and Implementation exam. Our objectives for this short presentation are to, number one, understand the Design and Implementation certification program, and a little bit before, during, and after the exam for you. You may want to go out and take a look at some of the videos as a refresher out on the Scout e-learning site. Specifically, take another look at the COBIT 2019 overview, the Governance and Management Objectives course, using COBIT design factors to create a tailored governance system. That might be a big one for you, and mastering the COBIT Goals Cascade. In this series of videos for Design and Implementation, you are looking at the exam preparation introduction. Keep an eye out for the practice questions that we'll have out there, where I will give you some of my sample questions and my rationale on how to answer those, and you'll see a 60-question exam out there that is broken down into 15 question segments. You probably recall that there are 4 primary publications with COBIT 2019. The Design and Implementation exam focuses primarily on 2 guides, the Design Guide and the Implementation Guide. You will also need to know core information from the Framework Guide and a little bit about Governance and Management Objectives and how they are linked to the governance components as well as the design factors. Let's get into this. Certificate candidates explore COBIT 2019 key concepts provided within the COBIT 2019 Design Guide and Implementation Guides. A little bit on the exam essentials. This is just a little bit different from the COBIT Foundation exam. Now, it is online, it is a closed book and remotely proctored exam. It covers 7 domains and includes a total of 60 questions. The number in each of those domains is based on the domain's assigned weight. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. You will have 3 hours or 180 minutes to take the exam, and a score of 60% or higher is required to pass the exam. Registration fees are a little bit more than they were for a foundation. This is $275. Note that these purchases are non-refundable nor transferable. What you're looking at here are the domains or the modules covered in a Design and Implementation course, as well as a structure from which the exam questions will be allotted. Basic concepts, about 8% of the questions will be there. Most of that is coming from the COBIT 2019 Framework Guide. You can usually find that in Chapter 2. Design factors for a governance system, about 15% in the Design Guide, the first 2 chapters. Impact of design factors, about 3%. It's a little bit smaller here, so you'll see that in the COBIT 2019 Design Guide. That's Chapter 3. Here's your big one right here, the Governance System Design Workflow, 32%. You'll find that in the COBIT Design Guide, Chapters 1 and 4. Implementing and Optimizing I&T Governance Overview, 7%. Governance Implementation Lifecycle, another big one. This is going to be 32%. It's going to be in the COBIT Implementation Guide. And finally, Key Topics, Decision Matrix, about 3%. That's in the COBIT Implementation Guide way back in Appendix A. So if you're wondering how you might focus some of your studies, that might give you a little bit of focus on where you might want to study. Now, each one of the practice test modules that I have after this course, I've broken down the allocation of exam questions based on this chart right here. You've seen this before, so it should go pretty quick. Before the exam preparation, make sure you study based on your personal learning style. You can self-study or take a course from an accredited training provider. Of course, I would recommend taking the course, but if you decide not to, you can go out to the ISACA site. You can buy that exam yourself. Don't forget, this is an online exam, which you've already done if you took the COBIT Foundation exam. So make sure that you have the right system requirements and schedule your exam through that site. Some exam rules that you already know. Don't forget, you have to have a quiet area, photo ID for your online proctor. Therefore, you have to have a webcam. Make sure your area is clean with no reference materials because this is an unassisted exam. You'll connect with your online proctor. Make sure you have computer power. I would plug into the wall. Solid internet connectivity, and of course go into a full screen mode. Some things that are not allowed. We don't have to spend too much time on this. No cell phones Can't read the questions out loud. You guys can look at this list. We saw this back in the COBIT Foundation course, so you've seen this already. Let's talk about after the exam, what happens. Make sure you're ready to submit the exam because you won't be able to go back or modify anything. Then you will receive your exam results immediately upon clicking that submit button or after completing the exam survey. Your pass-fail status will be displayed in the online exam environment. You can always find that information out on the My ISACA site. If you have a bad day, sometimes it happens. What's next? If you don't pass the exam, you can retake it a max of 3 times in a 12-month period. Where do you find all this information? Of course, you want to go out to the ISACA site. I would highly suggest go out and get this certificate programs exam guide. It goes into a lot more detail of the things I just told you about here. There's the URL for you to go to. It'll take you to the newly branded ISACA site. I want you to navigate through resources into COBIT, and you can find all the information you need there to prepare for and take this exam. Now, what I want you to do next, we just finished an exam preparation introduction. I have 4 upcoming courses, each with 15 questions designed to test your knowledge and skills in design and implementation. Each one of these practice exams is broken down based on the percentages that you saw a little bit earlier in this. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got enough information to get you excited about going out and taking the Design and Implementation exam. Of course, you can keep track of me on scout.com, markthomasonline.com, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Get on those sample questions. Good luck on taking the Design and Implementation exam.